People who never left their dream, they are living the life of their dreams. First spiritual system of production is the thought realm. Welcome to Wisdom for Wealth, the platform that teaches us vital wisdom for wealth. If you want to become wealthy, the first thing you must ask for is wisdom. The wisest man that ever lived was said to be Solomon. And the first thing he ever asked for was the wisdom to be able to lead. And that wisdom brought him a lot of wealth. He was said to be the wisest man that ever lived, and also said to be the wealthiest man that ever lived. Even up till now, we still refer to the wealth of Solomon because he was very wealthy. He was the only king that did not have war. He always enjoyed peace. Why? Because of wisdom. Wisdom is profitable to the rest. Wisdom is the principal thing. And in all that you get in, it is very important that you get wisdom. So the first wisdom dimension that I want to examine today is that, number one, wealth is spiritual. Wealth is spiritual. Many people think wealth is the money you have in your bank account. Many people think wealth is the money you have in your hand, the cash that you are handling. That's what many people think. But that's not what wealth is. Wealth is first spiritual before it becomes physical. The thing is, people have been looking for wealth in the physical, and not many people have been looking for it in the spiritual. And that's why we have not successfully handled the kind of wealth that we need. Why? We are looking for the physical wealth rather than looking for the spiritual wealth. I submit to you, by the little experience I've had when it comes to wealth building, I can tell you for sure that if you meet any man who is wealthy, they can tell you that wealth is spiritual. It's spiritual. Somebody say it's spiritual.
It's spiritual.
Man is a spirit. He has a soul and he lives in a body. Man is a spirit. He has a soul and he lives in a body. If man is a spirit, it means that everything around man has the spiritual implication. Sometimes when we lack the understanding of that, it can lead us to a lot of struggle. You find out that people are struggling to make it, struggling to become wealthy, and they are not getting it because they are not building the spiritual angle of wealth. Wealth is spiritual. It is spiritual. If the real man is spiritual, then real wealth must be very spiritual. If the real man is spiritual, then real wealth must be spiritual. If you understand the realm of the spirit, then you will be in control of the physical. Many of the things that we see happening in the realm of the spirit or in the physical are first orchestrated in the spirit before it becomes physical. Wealth is not something you handle physically, it's something you handle spiritually. People who handle wealth physically, eventually, if they lose it and they don't have the spiritual base, they are going back to poverty. You have heard of people who they call money of yesterday, who they call one-time millionaire, who they call one-time very rich, but they are no longer rich. Why? They did not have the spirit of wealth. All they had was money as a physical connection. If all you have is the physical dimension of wealth, you are running a risky life. Your life is so risky, we need to help you. You must understand that wealth is first spiritual. Every physical event first happened in the spirit. And I can give you examples. Many of the things we are using today are people's ideas, people's products, and we call them things like brainchild. The reason why we call them brainchild was because somebody conceived it in the realm of the spirit. Ideas are not physical, they are internal. It is when you translate it to material things that it becomes physical. Your ability to see spiritual things gives you access to bring about things in the physical. If you want to change things truly, change them by the Spirit. If you want to change things truly, change them by the Spirit. Why is it that when people make money, they say they have done ritual? What does ritual have to do with money? A lot. Am I communicating? A lot. What does spiritual have to do with money? A lot. That's why people can do anything to get it. You would have heard of different kind of tales of people who did some very dangerous things to make money. It's because money is spiritual. If you don't understand that spiritual aspect, you may become a struggler for the rest of your life. For you not to become a struggler, you must enter into the spiritual dimension of wealth. You must enter that spiritual dimension. What are the spiritual hindrances that we often experience? Because many of us, it's not as if we are not willing, we are willing. But we have not been able to enter into that spiritual dimension. Why? Number one is activities that can destroy sensitivity. Many of us are too loaded with activities. You wake up in the morning, especially if you live in Lagos. Lagos, people who work and live in Lagos are supposed to be said to be witchcrafts or witches. Because it's only witches that wake up in the night, work in the night, and close in the night. Because people who live in Lagos, they wake up by 4:30 a.m. in the morning, prepare to go to work by 5 a.m. So while they are going to work, it is dark. When they close work, when they close at work by 5 or 6 o'clock, they stay in the office because if they leave by that time, they will still get home very late. So they leave around 9:30. When they are coming back from work, it's very late. Some of them, their children are already calling them uncle. That uncle that used to come every weekend. That uncle that used to come every weekend. That's what their children call them. Why? They leave in the night, come back in the night. When they leave, it's dark. When they come back, it's dark. Why? Activities upon activities. I can't lose my job. My job is very important to me. I can't lose my work. I can't lose this. I can't lose that. And they are buried in activities. Activity is the killer of sensitivity. When people are not sensitive, it is because they have been active everywhere, running up and down. You can't pay attention to the spiritual dimension of wealth if you are a person full of activity. Because spirituality demands concentration, demands focus, demands you analyzing things in your life, demands you entering into a deeper dimension of thinking, entering into a deeper dimension of your spirit. It demands you engaging your spirit so that your spirit can produce that wealth that has already been embedded in it. Everybody has been fashioned with wealth. There has never been anyone who was created poor. Everybody was created rich. But you were created rich in your spirit. You were not created rich physically. Maybe a few of us were created rich physically. Maybe your dad was rich and you happen to inherit the riches. That's physical creation. Well, I'm talking about in terms of what God has embedded on the inside of you. The spirit dimension of man is so wealthy, but you need to tap into it. And to tap into it, you need sensitivity. You need a time out when you separate yourself from activity and you go out, you go into a place, lock yourself up, and begin to intermingle with your spirit to be able to produce your spiritual dimension of wealth. Many years ago, I was going for a retreat. Okay, I just returned from a retreat. And I met one of my friends, maybe an elderly friend, and he said, "Where are you coming from? I've not seen you for some days." I said, "I went for a retreat." And he was wondering, "You went for a retreat?" I said, "Yes." He said, "For what? What are you retreating for?" I said, I'm retreating because I need to plan for the next phase of my life. I think some other time he saw again that I went for another retreat. At the third time when he noticed I was going for retreat, he said, wow. He said, the way you are going, I am very sure you will never be poor in your life. And voila, here we have it. Many of us here, we may never have time to go for a retreat. 2020 is around the corner. Many people are waiting for the 2020, the day we shout, Happy New Year. And they will say, that's true, we have entered 2020. How do I start planning? What do I do? You don't need to wait for that. If you are a sensitive person, you should know that 2020 is so strategic. It's like when we had year 2000. How many of you can remember when we had year 2000? When we had year 2000, everybody prepared for that year. Millennium. In fact, some people say the world was coming to an end then. I can remember that I repented like 13 times that same day. Anything you do to me, I would say, no. I want to be ready for the second coming. I want to be ready for the end of the world. But voila, 20 years has passed. And we are still expecting. But it wasn't about the end of the world. It was about the preparation to launch into the next phase of humanity. And how many of you can attest to the fact that 2000 brought us into the next phase of humanity? We entered the millennium, we entered the internet, we entered a whole lot of things that have changed the course of our living. Right now, you can't do anything without social media now. Social media is like the next body you have. After your real body, you have the next body, which is social media. That was what 2000 brought. If you are very sensitive and you are connected to the realm of the spirit, you will know how important 2020 is to the next phase of the things that are